It was about 7 years ago that Francesco Arduini sent me a message on the Academia.edu platform. He told me that he had found my research on the history of the Tetragrammaton interesting, but that was the beginning of a long exchange of ideas between us. Since then, I also got acquainted with his passionate research on various biblical subjects, and we eventually became good friends. However, he got me by surprise in September 2020 when he invited me to join a project to prepare a volume about the God of the Bible. My first reaction was another book on the topic. Francesco asked a group of dedicated researchers to present aspects of key passages in the Bible that played a major role in the history of the Christian exegesis. I thought it was a really good idea, and I promptly accepted his invitation. During my 2 decades plus intense research on the name of God as revealed in the Bible, I came across numerous explanations of the sacred Tetragrammaton. A major point in all studies is the special role of the version Exodus 3:14, considered to be an explanation of the divine name. In the Hebrew text, there is an apparent connection between the Hava verb of the Tetragrammaton and the Haya verb used in the Exodus verse just mentioned. But this connection is not present in the Greek text of the Septuagint as is preserved in the major Christian copies in the great ancient codices of the 4th and 5th centuries CE. In Greek, there is no affinity at all between Kyrios, as rendering of the Tetragrammaton, and the phrase or title εγώ ημίων. The former term carries the meaning of lordship and dominion, while the latter is a form of a verb that means to be, to exist. So, what was meant by the Greek translation of Exodus 3:14 that God said for himself, εγώ ημίων, that is, I am the being or I am he who is? Of course, we are all beings. We are all alive and we exist. This is obvious. Therefore, a deeper meaning seems to lie behind the Greek rendering. The long history of interpretation has proposed that God's aseity, that is, his underived existence and his eternity and unchangeableness, are notions about God's nature implied in the Greek rendering. Such an idea, however strange it might seem when compared to the rest of the Hebrew Bible, has long dominated the Jewish, Christian, and even Islamic understanding of God. The biblical God, who is depicted as willing to come into personal and covenantal relations, came to be assimilated to the Platonic understanding of the one God. However, not everybody accepted this view. As I attempted to show in my doctoral thesis, already since the times that immediately followed the Old Greek translation, alternative Greek renderings appeared that emphasize this dynamic, personal, and relational God, who proves the qualities of his character by his actions. Are there any other Greek verbs that could have been used to render the Eyech Asher Eyech phrase or title of Exodus 3:14? What are the different ways that these enigmatic words have been rendered by the Bible translators? Are the εγώ ειμί, or the so-called I am sayings of Jesus in the Gospel of John coming from the εγώ ειμί οών of Exodus? Such questions and even more are discussed in my chapter on Exodus 3:14 and 15. I am sure that you will really enjoy reading this and other very interesting contributions in this book about the God of the Bible. A book today available in Italian and coming up in English soon. Thank you for watching.